Minnesota Governor Tim Walz trying to redirect some of the attention he's getting over the COVID fraud scandal that unfolded under his watch. So how's he doing that? Trump derangement syndrome.
You commit crimes, you go to jail. Doesn't matter what your race is. We've acknowledged that this is serious, needs to stop. It is stopping. People are continuing to go to prison. But I want to be very clear. You can do that without being racist and vile and putting people at risk.
Well, Republican Minnesota Speaker of the House, Lisa DeMuth, who's running for governor against Walz, is not letting him get away with that.
AAA bond rating is not what criminals look at if they're going to come and do criminal behavior here in the state. What I would say is a well-run state, a generous state, and a prosperous state. But a well-run state does not attract criminal behavior. It means that the dollars that are collected from taxpayers go to the people that need it the most, not to fraudsters. I don't think we're done yet. I think this is probably the tip of the iceberg, and I've heard others say that also.
Well, now investigators are tracking the web of fraud to other Minnesota Democrats, such as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Many of the suspects linked to the scheme live in her district, including a restaurant owner who hosted events for her. He has since been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds. Oh, your friends, your buddies, those people who love to have you over. Kim Strassel wrote for the Wall Street Journal this: the system itself, the government machine, is broken. It's heaving, duplicative federal state programs, awash in forms and bureaucracies and ancient mainframes, has already suffered Soviet-style collapse. Beautifully written, and Kennedy, oh so true.
It's very true. And so what you're seeing is, it's interesting because someone like Tim Walz should have looked at DOJ, especially if he has national aspirations, and said that's exactly what we need to do. We need to streamline government to make it more efficient to help people who really need it, as opposed to the corrupt people who are incentivized to come to the United States and take as much as they can to enrich themselves, which is what these people in his home state were doing. So he wasn't going to doge his home state of Minnesota because he also was being enriched by their political donations, even though he had people within his own government, whistleblowers, who were saying this is going on, it is systemic corruption, this is wrong. Those people were not only relocated, sometimes they were fired and retaliated against, and now they have the greatest case of all of how Republicans, conservatives, and libertarians can make government smaller, because a smaller government is much less likely to be corrupted by people who are in it for their self-interest alone.
Look, I want to go there on this immigration topic that's at the heart of this, because the bulk of this fraud was within the Somali community, which Minnesota has a very large Somali community. Many of them came from East Africa for their social programs. And there have been other types of problems, though, with that community, and it has to do with terrorism and their ties to ISIS and al-Shabaab outside and inside the United States. A lot of this money apparently was funneled, and that's been part of this investigation, to terrorism.
Well, yeah, it raises questions about people we're importing to the United States from these countries that are plagued with terrorism or political instability as well. How much can we flag these individuals coming into our country? And in Kennedy, those are the things Governor Tim Walz should have done, but he didn't. And we know he didn't because we have the Minnesota Department of Health Human Services, more than 400 of these employees on X, pointing the finger directly at Governor Walz, saying, hey, you knew about this. And instead, you went after the whistleblowers. You allowed this to happen in your country. And we all remember President Trump when he announced in 2015, walking down the golden escalator, and he said other countries aren't sending their best. They're taking advantage of us. And this underscores this point. Like, we had our kindness of the Americans to have these people come into the United States of America, and then they steal from us. They take advantage of us. They steal from needy kids as well. And I think on immigration, both legal and illegal, we should be asking ourselves, does this benefit the United States? And I think when you look at this, the answer is no. Or even when you look at Minnesota and the Somali population, I think about 40% are living in poverty. So are they taking more than they're giving to society? And I think these are the broader questions we need to ask ourselves as a country.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.